Hello and welcome to another episode of Go Big with Micha. Today I am talking to Silke Glaab and we will be talking about mentoring for leaders. So, another super interesting topic. Welcome, Silke. Thanks for being
Thank
here
you very
today.
much, Micha, for inviting me over. I don't know, Atlantic, Pacific, I have no idea.
Yeah, because I am in Seattle and Silke is 11 hours ahead in Dubai. And now, to make the story more interesting, we went to high school together in an obscure little German town. Actually, it's not an obscure small town anymore. It is now one of the hashtag UN Great Spas of Europe, right? So
Yes.
it's not obscure, but kissing it. That's where we went to high school together, and we were not friends. We can't even remember if we talked to each other back in the day,
No, we
but
even
I
didn't
don't think we
talk.
did. But now we talk regularly, and that's why I know that this will be so valuable to you watching this, listening to this. And I'll encourage you, I'll tell you a little bit more about Silke, and then we'll dive in. And I'll encourage you, if you see that live, please feel free to drop comments or questions in the chat. I will see those and I'll share those with Silke. And if you see the replay, always feel free to reach out. So Silke's contact information is in the event text, whatever subtitle, no, not subtitles, in the show notes. And you can always reach out, and to me, of course, too. All right. Let me tell you a little more about Silke. She is an organizational psychologist for executives, business people, and consultants. And was headquartered in Dubai has been for over 10 years, over a decade, right? But so Silke offers a one-on-one mentorship program to help leaders maximize their potential and create a new impact in today's world. So important. She has over 20 years of experience as a consultant in organizations and institutions across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Besides the practical experience, clients benefit from her academically based training in psychology and recognized therapeutical modalities. Oh my God, it's too early in the morning for me to say complicated words. She is an NLP master practitioner and she does systemic work. I have done that work with her. It's really, she's very, very good at it. And clinical hypnotherapy in EMDR. So she really brings a lot to the table. And today we are talking about mentoring for leaders. So what is that all about, Silke? Why mentoring for leaders? Because we talk so much about mentoring for more junior people. What is mentoring for leaders all about?
So there are so many definitions of coaching, mentoring, whatever. Normally, mentoring means that you have a person who has a vast experience in a certain field, and you are maybe younger. Yeah, and then you seek advice for someone who is already an expert in this field. Nowadays, these kind of wordings are interchangeable. Yeah, someone says I have a mentorship program, the other one say I have a coaching program. So, but coming back to the original question, why leaders need any help? Yeah, so you think they're already selected, they're already at a higher rank, so they must have done something right to have reached this kind of level.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, and then people approach me or people are going for coaching to gain skills. Yeah, for example, you get a rank higher and you have now a bigger team, and there's also some things how you deal with the board or with the higher management.
Yeah.
And then people are sent to gain some skills. And sometimes it helps, yeah, because there are some communication skills you would need, maybe also some strategic skills. But one area that is often overseen is how are you dealing with your own mindset and also your already trained behavior?
Yeah.
Skills is mostly knowledge, and then you train new behavior. But what are
Right.
you doing with behavior that's already programmed? Something that you
Mm-hmm.
don't even think about it. So how you react to certain situations, how you make decisions, you're often not aware of it, and you can't train. You can get some knowledge how you're doing decisions on what are decisions based, but if you don't know what your base for your decisions is. And here psychology comes in. So
Yeah.
we go really into what kind of feelings and emotion has someone, or even what kind of belief someone has. And this is really forcing the behavior of someone.
I
That
love
is
that
like
because
this behavior.
I we update our computer operating systems all the time, but sometimes
Yes,
not quite as frequently probably, but we need to update our operating systems too. And I feel,
yes.
especially when you advance in the same organization, it's probably harder to see that you need to update your own operating system. I mean, if you move halfway across the world, then you will run into external things that show you need to update.
Yes,
But
yes.
if you stay in a very similar environment, how do you recognize that you need to do this work?
Really, there must be something that brings you out of your comfort zone. And
Mm-hmm.
you're very, very right, because also with you, you help people in transitions. I also help people in change situations. So
Yeah.
they're getting into a new position or in their department or company, an organizational change is happening. So there is from the outside, the setting somehow changes. And this brings then people, so to say, to confront their current behavior because often it's not working anymore. So they get out of balance in a certain way. Things that used to work out of
Yeah.
sudden are not working anymore.
Yeah, and I know you work with both men and women. I primarily work with women, but and I see something, especially with women, that many of us have the MO to go back to the books because studying, like having good grades, studying, learning, really sitting down with expertise has worked for many of us for many, many years in high school, in
Yeah.
college, in grad school. Uh, you get all this good feedback for like, yes, you wrote another A, yes, and that gets you a
Mm.
grant and a stipend. Do you see that as well with your
So
audience?
yeah, the women I have, they're also of course quite high achievers.
Yeah.
But what I also sense, they have already this new way of thinking about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So they are much more team oriented. So it's not them who will be like the person to clap on the shoulder. It's more really the work of the team and also to include many people, especially when you're in a higher position, to also know certain department leaders or factory
Yeah.
leaders and to include them and much more inclusive, I would say, than men. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for them, it's also quite important this kind of work-life balance because they're getting in higher positions and they also have kids, and the kids sometimes are still in primary school. This means you need also attention at home. You have maybe a
Right.
husband who is also a little bit more flexible and who supports you, but you're also quite like in your workplace and at home. So these are what I face, that
Mm-hmm.
people have these challenges, yeah. And then how to like when they're very inclusive oriented, but how do they manage to climb up further the ladder? Yeah,
Yeah.
so they are often then on a certain level where they're really
Mm-hmm.
very, very good, like on an emotional side, on a social side, but also like from the qualification side. So with the results they are bringing. The
Yeah.
next step they ask, okay, how can I climb higher?
Right.
So what
Right.
do I need
The
to do?
next step up. Yeah. So what do you see as the biggest obstacle or the biggest challenge for these women to go from really middle management to senior management, or from being a part of the senior executive team to the C-suite?
Yeah,
What is the
and
biggest obstacle?
yeah, and this also applies for men. It's not specifically for women.
Okay.
Well, what
Yeah.
I normally do, if you really go into it, what you really see as your life's work. What is really your life's work? What do you think is your vision here? In NLP, you have a difference between mission. Mission is your purpose.
Yeah.
That's quite on an abstract level. Some people also use life philosophy. Michael Gervais, he speaks
Yeah.
about your life philosophy. And then out of this life philosophy or your purpose, you can take out a certain vision. And this is what I call then your life's work. And this vision can be a higher position in the C-suite. It can be an executive position, but this is still what you are planning for yourself.
Yeah.
And people are often not aware what their underlying purpose is. So I really go with them very deep to find out what's really your purpose. What are your higher values? For what
Yeah.
are you standing for? And what are really your strengths?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And if you are really very congruent with this, then you can also figure out if that higher position is really something that you would need, or is there something else how you can live your purpose or your life's work?
Yeah. As we are with those terms, maybe I'm going a little off key here, but how does legacy factor in? And the reason I'm asking is that, especially being around 50, I'm having more and more discussions, both with clients and with friends, about what do we want to leave behind, especially the ones of us who don't have biological children.
Yeah, yeah. I believe this was often a question, but nowadays it's like everybody's thinking about to extend your lifespan. Yeah, all these biohacks and
Yeah.
whatever the whole discussion is about. And I think this also brought up this thing of leaving a legacy. I don't know
Yeah.
who even framed it. If you go more into psychology, like Viktor Frankl, it's more what kind of meaning do you see in life? And I think your highest fulfillment is if you actually at the very moment live your life to your highest potential. And not only to your highest potential, but also to create an impact for the people around you. That's somehow a debate that you have in human psychology with Maslow's hierarchy. And a lot of people forget that he also had behind or after self-actualization, there was to go into a B state, to transcend. And here the issue is not only like I have fulfilled my highest potential. The next question is what I've done for others or what I'm doing for others. So the I becomes the we. So an orientation to the other ones around you. And maybe that's you can call legacy, but I would others call it transcend. So transcend beyond
Okay.
yourself and always see how you can contribute to the higher good.
Which brings me to the next question. I feel that many women are super good with the we aspect of their lives, serving others, making a contribution, supporting, caring, because that's how many of us grew up. there's a lot of nurture in that. For many people, there's nature in there too, but also nurture, and struggle with the I, with the self-care, the focus on themselves. I don't like the oxygen mask picture too much, to put your own oxygen mask on first, because you're already in trouble. When oxygen masks are needed, you're already in deep trouble. Yeah? So before then, I feel most women struggle with putting themselves first. And I'm wondering how that figures in here.
There are two aspects. I had a client. So for her, the life work was really to have a already very advanced HR focus, and not to speak about human resources anymore, but human potential. And she created the most inclusive workplace environment you can even imagine.
Yay, that's what we need. Yes.
Yeah, and really she lives in a European country, and she even integrated migrants that were highly qualified, but were not able to get a job in the hosting country. She brought people from other countries because for her it was really inclusive, to be very inclusive, but to also hire the best talent for that.
Yeah.
And she had the highest attention. That is actually her life's work. And to create with this a totally different work environment. So, but on the flip side of it was that she was so, like, her whole energy was in creating this kind of workplace that she actually burned out on the way.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with this.
There was not really taking care that she has proper meals. We even discussed, okay, then get a caterer. Yeah. If you're not able to cook, then get a caterer that at least you have proper meals. Then she spent like from 9 o'clock in the morning nearly to 9 o'clock in the evening in the company. And then I said, yeah, you can go like every half a year to India to do this harsh panchakarma because you're completely burned out. But if you're not changing your lifestyle to also take care of yourself, and that was, and up to now, it's very difficult for her.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, because, I mean, it's very hard to ignore the work voice in your head when you have listened to it for decades, right? That's where the reprogramming comes in, the upgrading the operating system. And you do a lot of work exactly at that point. Can you tell us a little more about that?
So, like for her, she's also like her and the husband are running the company. So she also has to take care of the husband. If he has any issues, then she also has to solve all these issues for him. So in the first place, it was just to discuss with her what's really preventing her. Because the major thing that always comes, I have no time.
Yeah.
I have no time to do these things. And then I also ask her, so do you think you can concentrate for 12 hours every day? Of course not. No. So we try first of all, like that's more on the environment side, yeah. So to structure the day in a way that you also have like small breaks. Yeah, I call it like islands, small islands in the day that you can do at least some breath work. Calculate also eating time into that.
Then I call that microdosing self-care. So that's
I said you don't need to do here 1 hour of yoga. I said even a small tabata thing in between of 4 minutes. Yeah, where you can even keep your t-shirt or your dress on. Like microdosing minutes. With this, it already starts. yeah. Or
Mm.
someone, I had another client, so she was during COVID, she was from one call, there was no break. She was like 6 hours on calls. I said, who is planning that? Yeah, my secretary. I said, yeah, then tell your secretary that after each call, there's at least 5 to 10 minutes break.
Yeah, yeah. I think many of us have learned that lesson. That I'm sure this resonates. This example resonates with so many of us, and I still feel it. If for some reason my calendar messes up and my break times get lost, even if it's just those
Yeah,
5 or 10 minutes, or I go over with a call and then suddenly have to rush into the next one, I'm just not at my best. Definitely not.
yeah.
And I'm sure everybody knows that example. That's a very good one.
And to create also awareness, yes, then
Mm-hmm.
I bring in this performance, how you call it, performance coaching, where you
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, it's really your brain is not meant to work 24 hours, yeah. So
Probably not.
because it needs oxygen, it needs nutrition, and nobody is able to have a so and so the brain or your focus always wanders.
Mm-hmm.
But this takes a lot of energy to keep
Yeah.
your focus really on one thing. So it's actually useless if you're just pretending you're working all the time on something. Better
Right.
has these sprints, yeah. So have a time like 90 minutes, and then you already take 5 to 10 minutes until you actually go into the thing. Then you
Yeah.
can maybe concentrate really completely 45 minutes, then have
Yeah.
this break, and then take another round of 45 minutes, and then
Yeah.
do another break in between, and then figure out where you can focus better for like really focusing stuff, on
Yeah.
which time of the day you do more routine stuff,
Yeah.
and on which
Yeah.
time you are better with creative thinking, where you have to think out of the box.
Yeah. I love that. And actually, at this point, let me give a quick shout out to my friends at Flow Club. Uh, this is how I block my time because I'm very often, not right now because I have something on my calendar, but uh, during a lot of times I am in a flow club session, and there's a check-in in the beginning of the hour, there's a check-in at the end, and in between you're in a group of 8 to 10 people who focus. And sometimes it
Yeah,
works better, other times it doesn't, but there are a lot of neurodivergent folks on Flow Club, me included. And some days, like yesterday, my ADHD just didn't make it possible to focus. So I just spent 50 minutes at a time doing random stuff. But still, I had
yeah,
those people who held the space for me, who understood that we have those days. And
great,
one thing on my
great.
to-do list was not get started on the taxes, not try to finish an article I'm writing because I need another type of focus. So I can only do laundry list stuff at that point. And
Yeah,
that is one of the systems I use to make it easier for me.
that's a
Just
brilliant
just a
idea.
quick
That's
shout
really,
out because not everybody can focus that well on their own, and it's okay to take help.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So
Um,
that's for me a very crucial, to have really a structure in your calendar, and really also calculate time for yourself. These
yeah.
micro breaks, then also something in the evening or in the weekend. And for a lot
Mm,
of high achieving women, I had coaching with, they
yeah.
didn't know what to do in their free time.
I
They didn't know.
know. I know. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like you reach a
they
point.
don't know. Then
I
you start with
Yeah.
massage, and one lady, so she said, oh, we took really a whole year to pull her more out of her company, so that she
Right.
has really more time. So she got how you call it, managing director. She got much better team members. So she had
Okay.
more time for herself. What does she do? She is in a mastermind, and then there is a guy who just started his own company, and of course it's a disaster. Great idea, but no management. Now she wanted to invest in this company and do the whole thing she had done for
Over.
4 years that brought her into burnout to start again. And then I asked her, so seriously, why would you do it? Ah, you see, I felt a little bit unmotivated the whole time. And then this opportunity came in and it really made me excited. I said, just in one sentence, you felt bored. You didn't know what to do in your free time, and now you're doing double time. You would help this new startup while you're still dealing with your own company. I said, please. The next
But
time,
that is such, again, such a good example that resonates totally with me, and I'm sure with many, many people. I've seen it all around me. I know so many amazing women here, and that's exactly what we tend to do. I mean, I even recognize it like in my mother, who's almost 90, who told me at the beginning of the pandemic that she'd rather die of a virus than of boredom. And she's not, she has zero dementia. So that's
yes,
her choice.
she's very
She's
fit.
fine.
I
She's
know.
fine.
She's not in
But
this small city that your mom is still driving, isn't it?
Yeah. She lives alone. She's still driving. So I feel that in myself, right? Because boredom creates an emptiness. And I grew up around, this mom, grandmother who said, our family doesn't do hobbies, which is not totally true. Some people in our family, yes, they did do hobbies. But it's something, the moment you get bored, you just start working again. Or maybe I think what I have is like talking to people, connecting, but finding something to do maybe by yourself. It's so tricky for so many of us because we haven't done it in such a long time. I just found something for myself. I'm puzzling now. I do 1,000 piece puzzles, and sometimes I listen to audiobooks that I know I wouldn't read because my ADHD brain is really not good at reading nonfiction, but I love history. So I listen to historical nonfiction, his history books, and puzzle. I would have told you 5 years ago, I would have said, that's so weird. That's so nerdy. Who does that? Who has the time for that? Turns out I do.
And the thing is, these women on one side, they want to create more work-life balance for their employees. But for them, it's only work. So you really have to, in this case, to question, so what is from your beliefs maybe hindering you that you don't take the time, what you said, so there was like a call from grandmom that there are no hobbies in this family.
Exactly.
That maybe can be a starting point because as a child you grow up in a setting where you don't see grandmother doing any kinds of hobbies. So you don't have a role model, and you like internalize this. And now to create awareness that you are now really allowed, because we are living in a totally different time period. And I know your mother and your grandmother, they were busy all season, so there was actually nothing really free time. But in your case, it's different. Times have changed, and it's like learning something new. There is an illusion that we could ever like unlearn something. The brain, as soon you have learned something, it will always stay with you, and the brain will predict certain situations that you act accordingly. So, for example, if there is no work, you have like trained yourself that you have to do something. And this will be always your default. It's there. Now, it's important to learn a new behavior. And the new behavior would start that you make a list of things that you could do. Yeah,
Yep.
so you have a list. I could go for a massage. I can do the 1,000 pieces of puzzle. I can do dance classes. I can find a hobby. Maybe I like painting. I go for a painting class. Maybe I like improv theater, because this will also help me to be more flexible on a podcast, yeah, or something. So you make a list of
Yeah.
things. And then you have in your calendar these times that are your me time, and then you select something from your list. And then
Yeah.
you learn a new behavior. So when there comes time of boredom or no work to do, so the default says, okay, you have to find work, but you also have learned that, oh, the improv class was actually really nice. I also did something during this time, and I actually learned something new. Or you
Yeah.
say, I'm going to the theater, yeah? And you learn that you are actually in this time of no work, you're still
Yeah.
doing something.
Right. Right. And sometimes, and when you've mastered the art of doing something else, is the next step to master the art of not doing things? I mean, it's
Yeah,
being
what do you
still.
mean with not
Well, I mean,
doing?
there's a lot of recommendations, but just like being still, being instead of doing. And that's something I've always struggled with, and I'm sure like many of your clients do too. The human being, human doing thing, because we're always creating new energy
Yeah.
around us and have a hard time, I don't know, meditating, just sitting, having a cup of coffee, watching the sunset. Is that the
Yeah,
master level? Is that the next level?
it's also kind of doing, isn't it?
Mm.
You're sitting there and you're watching. It's also kind of doing, in a
Yeah.
sense.
So it's
In
okay. It's
my
okay
in
either
my
way.
opinion, yeah? Because even doing, people say I do meditation.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say I am meditation. They say I do meditation. I
Yeah.
do meditate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's also an activity. And
Yeah.
I think what is more important to be more aware what you're doing even at work. To
Okay.
have a bit, because even sometimes I'm so in my work, time is, and I would not always say it's a flow state. So I'm just there doing.
Yeah.
Somehow
Yeah.
I sense that my calves are becoming like very tense. I just
Yeah.
ignore it, yeah. And then
Mm-hmm.
I also have these sprints of 45 minutes, and then it rings beep beep, and then I just switch it off and I
Yeah.
continue, because I say,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
it's finished. And now I'm really in this kind of mindset of doing it.
Yeah.
And actually, it takes much longer than doing this break, do
Yeah.
some tabata in between to get some energy back into the body, and then continue.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
being is to, yeah, what you already said, be more in the present moment, whatever you're doing, even at
Okay.
work, walk into your body and sense, is your body like actually feeling good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love
maybe
that.
you
I
have
love
to do
that.
something. And this is mindfulness during the day. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need to sit here and say, now I do mindfulness meditation and it takes me 15 minutes. It's much better to really sense it during the day, or even if you brush your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, One time I had an experience that I just observed that my toothbrush was doing like this. And then I said, this is how I programmed in my
Yeah.
brain how to brush teeth. And
Yeah.
if you're now mindful with brushing teeth, you will not think, okay, this morning, I have to do this telephone call. Oh,
Yeah.
what will I
Yeah.
wear? What will I wear? What will I
Yeah.
wear
Yeah.
actually?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, but really be there. see your teeth, see the root of your teeth, and be really with only brushing your teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only
And
thing
this,
happening.
I
Yeah.
think, is much better and much better to integrate in your life than saying, okay, I have to do now mindfulness meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I love that a lot. Because especially when you are rather on the high energy side, it's just getting those micro doses of mindfulness into your day is a lot easier than
Yes,
starting to sit still for 15 or 30 minutes. I can do it now,
yeah,
but I can still not do it in my own home. I
yeah,
can I often when I go to a yoga class, then I add the meditation class because then I'm already out of my home and it's evening and something, but you have to find your thing. So I love that, not to have to distinguish between the being and the doing. Just pay attention to
yeah.
what,
Be in
yeah,
your doing.
yeah,
Be
yeah,
in your doing.
I love
So,
it.
or if you do a coffee, yeah, just and then you have this machine and it makes sounds and the coffee
Yeah,
is dripping down. It may take 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, and you
yeah,
just observe that. Yeah,
yeah,
you
I love
listen
that.
to
Yeah,
the sound, you see the steam, you see how the coffee is now in your cup, and maybe the first step you do, you're mindfully taking it. You really get the taste of it, and then that's already enough. So you dived into your body, you had an like you were very much in the moment, and then
yeah.
you just go along again.
Love it. So, everybody, we have to wrap that off, unfortunately, but there you have your homework. Uh, Try for those little mindful moments. And Silke, before we go, please tell everybody where people can find you. What's the best way to connect with you if they want to continue that conversation with you?
Yeah, so either on LinkedIn or on my website, brainbossmethod.com.
All right. So people feel free to reach out to Silke. Feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much for being
Yeah,
here
thank
today.
you.
I enjoyed this conversation a lot. And yeah, people out there, I'll see you next week for another episode. And have a great weekend, everyone. Bye bye.
Yeah, and thank you for listening and all the best to you all.